Good morning, guys. Happy World Book Day. Thank you for choosing to listen to my video. My name is Mr. Hartshorne. I teach in Year 5, and I'm really excited to read to you today the story of Tiddlik the Frog. I'm going to share my screen for you here, and I'm going to go from the beginning. Okay, Tiddlik the Frog. This is a traditional Aboriginal Dreamtime story from the people who are indigenous to Australia. That means that they have lived there for many, many thousands of years. And they are, this particular story about a frog called Tiddlik is from an area called Gippsland in Victoria. Which is a part of Australia where there's a lot of bushes, a lot of desert, and a lot of really interesting wildlife who we are going to meet today. So let me adjust my camera. There we go. I picked up this story in my year when I spent teaching in Australia. In England, we learned stories like Little Red Riding Hood and Goldilocks and the Three Bears. In Australia, they learn stories like Tiddlik the Frog. Okay, are you ready? Get comfortable. And let's go. So once upon a time, in the bush, there lived a frog called Tiddlik. Tiddlik lived in the Wollombi Valley in the creation era. He was a greedy frog, and he wanted to be the biggest frog in all the land. There he is. He's looking quite happy with himself at the moment. One very hot day, Tiddlik became very thirsty. He wandered down to the billabong where there was plenty of water. I wonder what we'd call a billabong in our country. I wonder what a billabong is. Yeah, I think it's some kind of lake or some kind of reservoir. Good thinking. Tiddlik was so thirsty that he began to drink and drink and drink until all of the water in the billabong was gone. Oh no, it's dry, completely dry. Now, when all of the other animals came to the billabong for a drink, they discovered that there wasn't any water left. They were hot and thirsty too, and they knew that it was the greedy frog, Tiddlik, who had drank all of the water, and they became very angry at him. Now, before I move on, there are some really interesting Australian animals which are indigenous, means they come from Australia, and they're not found in the wild in our country. I wonder if you recognise some of them. I wonder if you know the names of them, because we're going to meet them in a second. The animals knew that they had to get the water back somehow. If they wanted to get all of the water out of Tiddlik and back onto the billabong, they would have to do something. And the wise old owl suggested that if he laughed, all of the water would come out. There's the owl. Here's some of the other animals that we're going to meet as well. Okay, so first, the echidna tried to make him laugh. The echidna rolled down the hill into the dried up billabong. Tiddlik didn't laugh. Now, for those who don't know, an echidna is a little bit like a hedgehog, except they've got a really, really long snout, which are good for finding ants. So the echidna did not make Tiddlik laugh. Next, the kookaburra, who was perched high in the gum tree, pretended to fall out. Tiddlik still didn't laugh. I love a kookaburra. They've got a really, really interesting tweet, and it sounds like someone laughing. So if you're out walking in the bush in Australia and you hear someone who sounds like they're laughing at you, it's not. It's a kookaburra, and they look beautiful as well. There he goes. He's pretending to fall out. Tiddlik is not having any of it. After that, the wombat started dancing. Some very funny moves. Still, Tiddlik didn't laugh. I love wombats. Wombats are some of the most beautiful animals that they have in Australia. They're nocturnal. They only come out at night, so you've got to be up quite late if you want to see them. And there he is. He's having a dance. Tiddlik still not laughing. The animals were so confused that they didn't know what to do. They were still very thirsty. And finally, the eel decided to give it a try. He danced and he danced and danced until he tied himself into a big knot. There he is. Oh no. Hopefully this will do the trick. Suddenly, Tiddlik's mouth started to move. He could not stop laughing at the eel. He laughed so much that all of the water came out and ran back into the dried up billabong. There it goes. Oh, thank goodness, the eel's done it. Tiddlik has got rid of all of his water. And from that day, Tiddlik was never greedy again, and he only drank what he needed. There ends our story of Tiddlik the frog. I hope you enjoyed it. I wonder what the moral is. I wonder if they're teaching that story to children in Australia. I wonder what the moral is. What do we want people to learn from Tiddlik the frog? Have a think about it, and why not pop it in the chat on Google Classroom, and put your ideas of what you think. So guys, thank you so much for listening to me. Hopefully you have a great World Book Day. I love the outfits that we've seen. So keep it up and make sure you watch all of your favorite teachers. Have a good day. Take care. Goodbye.